Good evening and welcome to Chatbox with Sam. Today's guest is the lovely lady and actress Marta Kristen. Good evening, Marta. How are you?
Good evening, Samantha. I want to call you Sam. Uh,
Yes.
yes, lovely Sam.
Oh, and lovely Marta. I've actually met Marta in person. She's a wonderful lady. We know you, obviously, the very famous Lost in Space, when you were young, and you played in the fantasy world of Irene Ellen, and you still appear at sci-fi conventions, and that's where I met Pensacon. I met Marta at the sci-fi convention there, and we had quite a chat, didn't we, Marta?
We certainly did. Yeah, it was lovely, and I immediately felt a connection. It's sometimes you don't quite know about people, but you were so charming and so alive, and you made me feel so comfortable.
Oh, thank you. I'm like a mirror.
Yes.
So, when I connect with someone, I connect, because obviously we can't connect with everybody, but I try, I'm very open. But you were so warm and nice, and I had to come back and see you again after speaking with you on the Friday because it was just such a lovely conversation. You're such a warm person and very talented too. So, and I saw you in Lost in Space. Actually, I remember that show when I was in England as a child. Well, older child, But I remember seeing the blonde hair and the little boy. I remember the little boy and his red hair,
Yes.
reddish hair. So,
Little Will. Mhm.
yes. So, how was your experience on there, would you say?
What I was doing almost all of the shows on television at that time, and guest starring in all the roles, as the ingenue. And I was asked to do Lost in Space because Irwin Allen saw me in a show called Greatest Show on Earth with Jack Palance.
Hmm.
And he said, "Get me that girl." And so when I went to interview, um, I consider myself a serious actor and have always done theater and studied and dance and voice and movement and singing. Everything I think an actor needs to do in order to be prepared. And and he said, "Oh, yes." He said, "I have so many ideas for your part for Judy Robinson. Why, there are so many storylines. You're going to be an a, a, a young woman who had wanted to go on stage, which was sort of an odd thing for someone who was going to go eventually into space. But
Right.
but I thought, well, that would work. I could be
Yes.
quoting Shakespeare. I could be quoting Lady Macbeth or
Right.
any contemporary playwright. And uh, but when ultimately what happened was that it became, of course, about Jonathan, Will, and the robot. However, the first day that I was driving into the studio to do the pilot for Lost in Space, I thought to myself, here I am. How could it possibly be that I am an orphan girl from Norway, adopted when I was 5, and then coming out to California with my parents who took a sabbatical from teaching. And here I am driving my little Volkswagen Squareback
Oh,
to 20th Century Fox. And then
amazing.
and then when I got on the set, it was just astounding. The lights flashing, the panels, the people that I mean, there were extras everywhere. Everyone was busy, doing things and moving things, and I said, okay, this was a very, very good choice. And no matter what happens, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to learn a lot. And I'm going to be working with some wonderful actors.
Oh, and you made me go cold when you said that story. I mean, I know you were adopted when you were young, and when your parents brought you to America. So, and you did find your siblings, right? Later on.
And because of Lost in Space, I found my siblings. I received a telegram when the show had ended, actually. And 20th called me and said, "You have a telegram from a woman who says, who says in the telegram that she's your sister." And so I picked it up, and I picked up the telegram, and indeed it was Anneli Rusanen, my sister. And since then, she was just amazing. She had a great personality, outgoing, and loved everyone. She was a school teacher and married to the head of the philosophy of education department in Helsinki University. And she was just a few years older than I, but she came to visit eventually, and she got to know everyone in the neighborhood. She was invited into houses and had for tea and coffee, and she was just a light. And she kept finding siblings. And we knew of 5, but she found 4 more.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and she was going to the records office, and the Finns kept very good records, and she kept saying, "I think this is our sister," or, "I think this is our brother."
Oh, she found you all. Well, that was awesome.
Yes, and what I found about them was that they were astonishingly educated and self-realized, and also very different and also very interesting.
Oh, do you look alike? Was this from the brothers? Are they from the father? Because I know your father passed away after World War II.
Yes.
During the war. So in Germany, he was a German soldier. So poor thing. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet him.
Well, I'm sorry too, and my brother who lives in Australia, Seppo Rusanen, has found who my father's name, and it's Hans Bremer, and I would love to find that family, but I've been timid about it, and maybe someday.
Well, maybe if this gets out there on the web, they'll hear this. Maybe. You never know. Since I have a lot of family in England that share, so they share in England, and my stepmom is actually Finnish. So when she shares it, yes. So when she shares it, it will go there too.
Oh, good.
What an amazing story. It really warmed my heart because, as I told you, my father was adopted. His father was fighting over in Serbia, but he came to England and they were unwed and the mothers were sent away. But he found both his parents married and had 4 other children. And he has been involved with them ever since. But my grandparents, and they're Georgievich, and my grandparents are Sheldon, so that's how we adopted the Sheldon name. But they were wonderful parents, and wonderful grandparents to me. So I was blessed to know all of them. So I can't think, as a mother, having to separate from your child must be the most hardest thing to do, and no one has the right to judge that or hold any malice in it. Yeah.
A woman has to make choices at times.
Yes.
She has to do what's right for the child, and it's heartbreaking. But my mother, my birth mother, Helmi, definitely. She wasn't well. She was working in Norway against her will, and she gave birth to me in her room, and and immediately took me to the hospital where they put me in an underground orphanage. And so I didn't know her until later on when I was pregnant myself with my daughter. We went to Finland to meet her and to meet I took my parents with me, actually.
Oh, that was nice of them as well.
I think it was harder on Bertha Soderquist than on anybody. I mean, she kept breaking down into tears because, you know, she shared, of course, the love that Helmi must have had at one point for me, and my mother saw that, and my mother was so, Bertha was so wonderful. She was my best friend, and aside from my husband. And I'll tell a story about her that I think is a good lesson for all parents. Okay. And that is that we after my father passed, I would sit with her and watch the sunset, because my father had lost his sight, and my mother would always describe the sunset to him. So I went there in the evenings, every evening, to watch the sunset with her. I'd have wine, she'd have her Manhattan. And one evening, I was just opening up the door to leave, and she called me back and said, "Sit down." And she held my hand, took my hand, and she said, "I just want you to know that you have been the best daughter that mother could have, and that you must never feel guilty about anything." And
sorry.
That kind of, you know, I think I was difficult as a child. I know I was difficult as a child. I had tantrums, and I was, you know, I was working through the issues that I had in the orphanage, but they were so patient and so loving and so kind, and they supported me throughout all of that, and never yelled at me, never spanked me, never. Yeah, I mean, it was just they would look at me and go, "What is she doing?"
Bless them.
And cry, and of course I was trying to work out all the stuff that I had, and that's why acting was so wonderful for me, because I could work all my things, all my problems, all my issues out on stage, and get across to others those feelings that I felt, that I had so deeply within my heart and my body, and I see that actors are made to do that. We're made to communicate. We're made to tell the truth about who we are and the characters that we play, so that when an audience sees it, someone in the audience will be touched by it and understand their own lives, you know.
Absolutely, Marta. I was just having this conversation with an actress, Laura Gardner, last night, and I said, you know, I'd like to say thank you to all the actresses and actors, directors, film producers, writers, because without the writer there is no production, you know, because not so much as an escape, but an identifier, something to relate to. When you see someone on stage, because I love theatre and watching the theatre as well, so when you see someone there playing that part, or you watch a film, or you hear a piece of music which holds memories, or you see an emotion which holds memories, there's always something in every TV series, any pilot, any short film, any long film, where someone relates to that. It's really amazing what you do, and it's hard work, and it's not all sunshine and glitter. There is a lot of hard work involved, and sometimes there's rejections, and you know, and you keep going on. You never give up, and I'm really proud of you all for that.
We never give up, because the reward that we get back from acting is so great. It's like an addiction, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not the the accolades you receive. It's really the connection you make. And I feel empty not being able to do it. I mean, I'm now back into it.
Yes.
Yes, after Kevin died, I took some time off. And my husband, I took some time off. I couldn't think, you know, but then I began to start going back to class, and I've always taken classes. I had studied with Gary Austin, the founder of the Groundlings, and I began to find myself again. And now I'm doing films and hopefully a TV series. As an actor, you just go from one to the next. I would say 90% of it is preparation, and then it comes together once you get with the other actors. And as Sandy Meisner says, then you just start listening, and then, you know, your preparation, you know who you are in your relationship with other people, and then it just simply becomes the moment. And that's magic. It's just, what was it that said that, I think it was David Mamet wrote about a magician. Magician is an actor impersonating a magician. And it is, and it is, it's magic. It's magic.
It is beautiful.
And some people think, oh, like my first husband, who I divorced, he would say to me, after a performance, oh, anyone can do that.
No, and they really can't.
It's bearing your soul, whether it's ugly, the good, bad, and the ugly. You know, it's all there, and you're and bearing it all the time.
And you spoke about your husband, and I could see in your eyes how much love you had for each other. So that's amazing, and I'm so sorry that you lost him. You know, and you have your memories, but I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
he was. I will say he was a man who he was a poor kid from Long Island, Irish Catholic, 6 kids. He worked his way through college, university. He was Phi Beta Kappa. I mean, he got a scholarship, partial scholarship to Harvard Law School. And he could have made millions, but instead he decided that he was going to become a plaintiff's elder abuse attorney, because he learned that a friend of his mother had died of starvation in a nursing home.
Oh no!
Well, that couldn't possibly happen. And starvation and dehydration,
severe neglect, abuse, elder abuse,
and it was a good nursing home. I mean, a 4-star nursing home. They had, because they didn't want to be bothered, they would just put the food in front of her. She didn't eat it, so they took it away. But he couldn't believe that this was happening in the United States. Right. And God bless him, he took that on, and he fought tooth and nail for mainly poor people who had died in nursing homes because they had no voice.
Right.
And he was a man of honor, a great man of honor. And I will love him forever. It's true.
Oh, Marta, you really got away with making my heart go boof. Oh, I needed tissues for this interview. It's just beautiful that he did that. My daughter was actually worked in a care home, and one of the ladies that passed, the family invited her because she called her a number one, and the lights flickered the one night, and she goes, "Is that you, number one?" And she told the daughter, and they invited her to the funeral, and they said God bless her for not just caring for her, but caring for her like she was family, which makes it, they said that made the difference.
Yes.
She goes, I can't think of him any other way. And they said, you can't get attached. She goes, how can I not?
No, Kevin became family.
Right.
Because it would last for 2-3 years. And if he lost, which he rarely did, but sometimes the judge would think would be more corporate than he was, for the individual. He would, he would tell me, you have to hide the knives, and because he would just cry, and I mean, he was so
upset,
he would be so unhappy, so upset, and there were times when he was awarded his lawyer's fees, and he would give that to the clients, because they had suffered, the family had suffered so.
Yeah. He was probably crying because he was trying to be a voice, and that voice was shut down.
Yeah.
That's not just devastating, it's frustrating too. Yeah.
Well, your daughter sounds wonderful.
She is, thank you. So, is there any part that you've played where you could see your own personality, and which one was that?
Oh, I loved doing a show, a play called Wings. It was Arthur Cappett's play about his father who had a stroke, and the woman had been a wing walker. In the 40s, 30s, and 40s, people would put on shows when with the biplanes, and the people who walked on the wings would be strapped, and then they would walk out on the wing and lean forward and were exhilarated by the experience, and people, and they were barnstorming, and they would fly through barns, and it was quite a remarkable feat, and for a woman to do it was to me someone who had a great sense of adventure. And so the play is about, in the beginning, she has a stroke, and the beginning of the play is her stroke speech. And what I found out about stroke victims is that they have a great sense of humor. I was able to sit in at the Daniel Freeman Hospital. They allowed me to sit on one of the therapy meetings, group meetings. And when someone would say faucet instead of water, everyone would laugh, because they all knew that this was part of what they had to go through in order to get their speech back.
Right.
And so I found that I loved Emily Stilson, the character I played, the role. She had that humor and that great understanding of what the courage, what it takes to go out into the world again,
right,
after being so damaged, and recuperate, and then reach out and to others, and she was a very spiritual woman. And at the end, there's a wonderful speech. I talk about flying through the clouds and seeing the lights down below, and it's such a moving, beautifully poetic piece of writing by Arthur Capett, and she dies at the end, but it's not a terrible, sad death. It's that she has lived, and she has had the courage to do what she has done and be who she has been, and she doesn't have any regrets. So I'm hoping that I have those qualities.
I think you do, Marta. I think you definitely do. You definitely have courage, and you faced a lot of stuff when you were younger, and you worked through them, and luckily you found advice that could help you work through that trauma of a child, and you stayed a beautiful soul. You didn't get tainted. You tell by not just the way you talk, but the way you you interact with people, and the kindness just flows from you. Your aura, it just flows. It's a genuine kindness too. And you're like that with everybody. Everybody you were sat at the table with, you were very gracious and kind, and you had that for every single person you were talking to. So you're a very good soul, Marta. And that's why I wanted you on Chatbox with Sam.
Oh.
When I met you, I thought, she's got to come on my show.
I appreciate that. I'm honored to be a part of your show and to be a part of the experience of others. You know, that's what conventions, some people say, oh, they're doing conventions, actors are doing conventions, and that
it's
means
amazing. I love it. The atmosphere there is incredible. If you haven't been, you're missing out. I'm just saying, I love being at them.
People are so, well, I love people. I love to interact with them. I love to find out who they are. Where did you come from? What do you do? How are you? What's your family like? Because everyone has a story. And as an actor, of course, that's what we do. Yes. And I'm doing it. I don't think disingenuously. Because I really am interested. Yeah. Because that's what we're here for. Absolutely. We're here to communicate. We're here to connect with people. We're here to try and be tender for them and support them.
And I also believe that the universe is its own connection. And the people that you're supposed to meet, you meet. It can be in the most bizarre circumstances or the most regular circumstances, walking into a restaurant. But the people that you connect with, I think that was supposed to, it was fated almost. You're supposed to meet certain people because we all grow from one another, I think. A lot of the times, or we can learn from one another. Either or, it depends, because we're not all perfect, and we've all got, I know I have flaws, and I grow and learn every day. So yes,
certainly not perfect. Oh my goodness, I'm not perfect. I get very upset with people if I feel that they're unjust. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see red, and I just tell them off. And I'm not nice. I'm not. And I can't stand it when people are mean.
There's no need for it.
Yeah. Or I don't know. To me, if they are dismissive, or because I'm a woman, or because I'm older, or that really pisses me off.
I don't blame you. I'm like, whatever.
You hear me?
I love it. I know you have a beautiful daughter and a granddaughter. How would you inspire the younger generation? And then how would you inspire them in the industry, how to get involved?
I think that what I would say to most young people is to have a purpose, and that and to have a hope. But you must be willing to work for it. Nothing's going to be given to you, and the sense of purpose, it can take a while to find, and it's all right. It takes time sometimes to get to where you are, and no one is perfect. So give yourself a break. And but for actors, I always say, just work, do the work, go to. It doesn't cost you anything to join a theater company and to be a part of a small theater company. And I started a theater company with a group of people called West Coast Ensemble, and I cleaned toilets, I built sets, I acted, directed, produced, but I stage managed. I did everything, but I learned so much. And I tell actors, young actors who just go backstage and play while other people are rehearsing, I say, go sit in the audience. You learn just as much from watching as you do from being up there. Sometimes you learn more because you learn from other people's mistakes. You learn from what the good things that they do, and take lessons. If you can afford it, take lessons, or go to your local Y and swim. Get your body in shape. And don't let yourself go. Don't think that you're going to just step up there and do a job, do the work. You want it, your body, as they say, is your instrument, and as an actor it is, and you just have to be ready all the time for when you get the call.
That's awesome. That's great advice. And what I loved about that is saying be part of the audience and watch, because you do learn from watching, so that was a great piece of advice. No one's actually ever said that on all the interviews I've done. Go to a theatre and look at the audience, be part of the audience and learn.
It's part of the discipline, I was going to say.
Oh, is it?
Well, for me, it was part of the discipline of watching the other actors work, and seeing how the director worked with the actor and or the actors, and the staging, and how does a person use their body? When do they move? I mean, is it it should be organic, and you can always tell when it's not, or whether the actor doesn't know quite what to do with their body. That's why body work is really important. Dance, or for me, I turn on music and I dance.
That was my next question. That was my very next question. So we'll run into that in a minute. You carry on.
No, you carry. No.
You say dance. Obviously, we dance. We have music. So, and I think dance is a great form of expression as well. So how has music influenced your life?
Oh, music, it's the language. It's the universal language. I when I met before I met my brother Seppo, we exchanged letters. And the weird part was, it was like we were twins separated at birth. We both liked the same music. Van Morrison and Miles Davis, and we both liked the same book, which was weird. And our favorites. And I'll put on Van Morrison, or I'll put on Joni, or a variety of people, and I will just move with it, and sometimes I throw my back out. Energetic about the music, but my favorite piece is Glenn Gould's the Goldberg variations. It's hypnotic to me. I can listen to it over and over and over again and never ever be tired of it. It's extraordinary, the precision of his fingers on the keyboard, and it's like it's coming from another world, it's a whole another language. And Miles Davis too, and Van Morrison. Van Morrison's phrasing to me is so interesting, and I love his way of taking a verse and creating a whole story of his own, in his own style, his own language, And of course Joni Mitchell is brilliant in whatever she has done. Every album has been unique and different, and Dylan the same, and
Dylan.
Bob Dylan, yeah. I'm not that familiar with modern music. I mean, I I know who they are. I know who the people are, but and I really enjoy some of the work.
Mm-hmm.
But and I love country music. I love I just love all kinds of music.
Right.
I don't understand. I love rap.
Oh, do you?
I don't quite understand some of it, but when in the 50s there was the beat, they were the beat poets. They would they would and they would recite their poetry. Well, this is to me, rap is like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a different style. It's a different way of doing it.
Right.
But but it's music. It's really quite fascinating music. So I wish I knew more about it. I have to study it more.
Yeah, my son's done a few rap songs himself, wrote them himself, but they're political genre. So, but he's very good. He's very good. Wow. So, and you love to dance. So let's talk about the dance. What do you do? Ballroom?
Oh no, I don't do ballroom. I do jazz. I still take classes, and yes, and just mainly jazz. Dancing around.
That's so much fun.
It's mainly freestyle for me, and I incorporate, of course, the jazz moves, but I just bounce around. It's a joy.
Oh, I know. I love dancing too. My grandfather taught me ballroom from when I was 3, but I love to just jig around.
Kevin and I loved to dance. We'd go to the variety of weddings that his family had, and we would be the only 2 people who would get up on the dance floor, and I mean the 2 older people, and then people would sort of start trickling in, but we could care less. We just had so much fun. We'd be like sweating like crazy, and we'd be dancing, for hours.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
And Goldie Hawn said it's the best exercise you can have.
Oh, yes.
It is very good. It keeps everything moving.
That's right. Or not moving.
Oh, Marta. I know, right? The next day. Oh.
But, I think it's important to remember how to play. And improv does that for me. It's how many hours? It's 2.5 hours on Tuesday evenings. I'm at improv and I'm playing. I am laughing, giggling, playing characters that are, like I play a fighter, I do all of these different characters that I just, I observed or I find in me that, are just, some are really stupid and ugly, and others are very grand and cigarettes. And,
oh yeah.
And so I get to use those characters that I have found, and in skits, and
that's awesome.
I think everyone should do improv. Everyone in this world should do improv.
I did it once. I only went in as a spectator, and they said, "Okay, you're next," and I went, "I'm next." They said, "Well, Samantha, you could do this, but then follow him up with the humour." Well, I didn't find what he said was funny, so I didn't follow it up with humour. That's very much a part of improv. You don't have to be funny. There's no pressure to be anything except the moment, and to be listening to your partner, and to be, and of course the answer is always yes. Mais oui. Mais oui, mademoiselle. So out of all the charities there are in the world, Marta, which one would you choose to advocate for, and why?
Save the Children. And give money to that charity. And, it's for, I adopt a child in a family that is, in need. And with that, she can buy books and clothing and or medical.
Oh.
So Save the Children. I have a child in the Philippines, and she's just adorable, and she's I receive photos once in a while of her, and I always feel very happy. And of course, animal rights. I'm very much in. I cannot stand seeing animals
hurt,
in pain. I always adopt animals, rescue animals. They're, I go to the shelters, and I see these animals in such dire need.
I know.
And, I've had 4 at one time. And I can't stand. That's when I really I want to go and smack somebody when if they're cruel to an animal.
Well, they've got to be something. There's something disconnected. There's something mentally off to hurt a human being or an animal, especially a defenseless one. I'm on about physically, or purpose abuse, on purpose,
Yeah.
Because with words we can all say things we don't mean, and then apologize, and then sincerely apologize, but physically hurting someone.
Yeah.
That
is and animal abuse is just.
Well, I've adopted my Zeus too. I've got Zeus here, and he was abandoned under a truck at 5 weeks, and he was this big when I got him. He's now 85 pounds. He was like 5 pounds when I got him. I was going to foster him, but I kept him. I was like, I'm not letting him go, because he's so lovely. He's funny. So what do you have? Do you have cats or puppies, dogs?
Well, I've had, as I said, I've always had dogs, and I had a cat for 21 years, and the cat's name is Siddhartha. And I had a dog named Steppenwolf at the time. I just went through the whole.
Oh, the band.
Yeah. And but Siddhartha was a black alley cat that just even though I had him fixed, he would not stay inside, and he would go hunting at night, and he would come in, and I could hear him in my bedroom and we knew that he had something. He had caught something.
Mouse.
Because we'd hear wah, wah, instead of meow, and we'd say, "Oh no!" And in the morning, we'd find the entrails of a rat or something.
Yeah.
But now I have Kevin picked little Molly out. My 2 dogs that I had passed, and so. We went to pick to a rescue organization called Perfect Pet. I have to laugh because Molly, I love her, but she's not perfect. But so he picked out Molly, and she's like a little Maltipoo. But when she's a scrapper, she thinks she's a Great Dane, and. She'll look at a dog and she'll say, "I'm taking you on," and
she's got spice.
Oh, she's spicy, and but when I got her, she had cataracts, juvenile cataracts, and money that I earned at the San Diego Comic-Con went for her eyes, and. But it was worth every single cent, because when she came out of the doctor's office, she saw a man walking. All of a sudden, she went,
"Who's that?
What was that?" And
so she fixed the cataracts.
She could see.
Oh.
And and so now she sees everything. She she sees a dog, like, from a mile away, and I don't know whether she sniffs it or sees it, but she's there, and she'll wait, and she won't move. She won't let me pull her. She puts the brakes on and in front of her, and she's like 15 pounds. Or yeah, she puts the brakes on, and she won't let me. She refuses to move. It's like I could drag her, and she'd be going.
That's funny.
But she's like your dog. If she wants attention, she'll sit at my feet. In fact, she's right next to me now. She'll sit and she'll bark at me in this high pitched bark.
Right.
Until I do something. Until I acknowledge her and throw her toy or something.
Oh, a toy or give him a treat. Yeah. Or for a walk. Yeah.
Yeah. Or she'll lick my ankles just to let me know that she's there. I say,
oh,
I know you're here. I know you're here. She walks by and she licks, and then she goes on her own way.
Bless her. I know Zeus follows me everywhere, and he jumps on the couch with me and jumps on the bed. Yeah, he follows me all around the house. I'm like his mama.
I think if you can give locally to an organization for a charity for animals, I think more money will go to that organization directly than to a larger corporate rescue charity.
Do your local well, go to your local shelters.
Yeah. Exactly. I do encourage people. I understand why people want to buy a dog, because they figure that they will know exactly what they're getting. But I encourage people to adopt rescues. There are so many that need homes, forever homes. And and I beg people when they say, "Well, we're gonna go find a dog." Oh, rescue? No, we're gonna go buy one. I say, I get on my high horse and I'm probably very offensive.
Well, yeah.
I say, adopt a pet.
If I was gonna get another dog now, I wouldn't get a puppy anyway. I'd get one the same age as Zeus, or a bit older.
Yeah.
So
I have to say that I adopted an older dog. He was about 8 years old, but he had been used as bait for fighting.
Oh no.
He was left in someone's backyard for 2 weeks, chained up. He had apparently just a bowl of kibble and some water. And he was skin and bones, and completely scarred all over his face and his body, and he hadn't been.
That's evil.
It was evil, and I thought to myself, I would like to take the people who lived there and chain them up in that backyard for a couple of weeks.
See how they like it.
I'll see how they like it. Anyway, he came home with me. I couldn't let him be with anyone outside of the family, because he became very, very protective and very possessive. But he was a beauty. He filled out. He didn't even know how to go upstairs when I got him. He had been so terribly abused, but the love that he gave us, and Lena, Laura, and myself, was absolutely beyond what we expected, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful dog.
Oh, isn't that awful though that they can treat an animal like that?
It broke my heart to hear it, and for any animal to have to go through that, it's just it's hideous and cruel.
There's a way of treating an animal, even if it's for food. You gotta still treat them.
Yes,
as a life, they feel pain. So
that's right, and they're all part of they all have a soul, and I mean, people will disagree with me, but I believe that. I truly believe that, and the way we treat our animals is a reflection on who we are as a society. And they say that the way we treat our children and our elderly, also is a reflection, but the way we treat our animals too, and we have to remember that.
How do you feel about what has transpired since COVID-19?
Oh, I just had my birthday, and that was at the end of February 2020, and in March, the beginning of March, I got really, really sick, and I couldn't taste, I couldn't smell. I scared the hell out of myself because one morning I couldn't wake up. I could hear, but I couldn't wake up.
I was like that. I got it too.
And I was coughing and coughing and coughing. I thought, well, I've just got a terrible case of the flu, but the cough wouldn't go away. Finally, my doctor prescribed some steroid inhaler, and it got a little bit better. But I was sick for a month and a half, probably. I went about trying to do stuff, but all I wanted to do was sleep.
Daydream, yeah.
Yeah, and it took me months to get over the fatigue of of this, and I didn't, and then it wasn't known to be. Then the word COVID got out, and then I began to think, I have that, and then I was tested for the antibodies, and I indeed did have it.
Yeah.
So and then I wore a mask, and but it was a very hard time for me, because I mean, obviously I wasn't alone. That I mean, that there were others who were going through as emotionally difficult a time as I was.
Right.
And I finally went to my doctor. I said, I don't know what to do. I'm so depressed, and I'm crying all the time, and he was going to put me on meds, and but I said, no, let me see if I can't shake it off. And I did. I started to read more and be more active. And as I said earlier about what to tell young people is I tried to find a purpose. And but being alone all that amount of time, my daughters, tried to be attentive, but they too were dealing with the COVID issue and the pandemic, and so I didn't see them as often. We talked every day, but it was all of a sudden I realized that I could now take this time to really find out who I am, and being by myself and with myself and only myself. I had to face myself, and right. All of the stuff I had gone through in my life, and I began to become really, in a way, more spiritual during that time. That's what I found anyway, but I was angry for a long time. And, I kept saying, how could you do this to me?
It was a difficult time, and there was so much loss as well. And then yes. Seclusion, as human beings, it's not, I mean, we all like to be alone to recharge and stuff, or most introverts do anyway. I know I do. But it's not human nature to be alone. And when you seclude for so long, it's going to have an effect. It's going to. I
think we'll never be rid of it.
No, of course we won't. It's a virus.
Yeah, it's a virus, and it will. And the main thing is to get vaccinated and to wear your mask when you have to, and wash your hands, and all the things that the CDC says. And masks are terribly uncomfortable. I got rashes all over my face. Oh, what are you doing to me?
I've took my mask off. I've got more makeup on my mask than on my face. I'm like, look at these. So is there anything that no one has asked you in an interview that you would have liked them to ask you?
Well, I'm working on a book, and I'm illustrating. I did this painting behind me.
Let's have a look at it. You show the painting?
It's hard to see because, yeah, you can't really see because it's up way up there. Let me see if can I do that?
There, absolutely. I can see it now.
Okay. And it's called Morning Has Broken.
Oh, that's
and,
lovely.
And it's birds.
It is the birds.
It's a painting within a painting. I don't know whether you can.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful because you can see the birds on top of the painting underneath.
Yes, and here's an ocean, and the ocean fades into the rest of the birds. But I'm very impressed with M.C. Escher, and so I did the negative and the positive. Anyway, and it's multi layers of oil pastels, and then I scratch the image. But yeah, and then I'll add different things to it. But
it's beautiful.
It took me 6 months to do, and I have other pieces in throughout the house. But yeah, I love painting. Painting is my escape, and so I'm doing this illustration. I'm doing the illustrations for my children's book called Birgit's Dream, and it's a very simple and very short story, but about a little girl who dreams of, she's 3.5, dreams of having a family, and being adopted by someone, and it's my story, but it's just about how a child needs what everyone needs, and that's unconditional love and safety, and someone to hold them and to give them a kind of tenderness that every child should have.
Absolutely.
And it's just, and it's and I'm hoping that not only children who are orphans or refugees, but that other children will read the story. It'll be, as I said, it's a very simple story, but understand that when they see a child who is different from them, that they will embrace them with the kind of love that maybe they're getting at home, but they see that this other child doesn't. My granddaughter has such a huge heart. When she was in school, in elementary school, I think she was like in 4th grade, there was a little boy who had terrible learning disorder.
Yeah.
And he couldn't see, he would have to go way down to the page, and he couldn't hear very well, and she fought people. She'd say, "Don't you even dare say that about him." I mean, she would practically get into fisticuffs over. Finally, the principal of the school told me, that, you have to tell Lena that she doesn't have to do this. It's got to be hard on her. And I did, and I said, "Of course I do. Of course I have to do it." And that's what she is, And I'm hoping that she learned that from me.
Yeah, I think she. I was just about to say she copies her nana.
She's
got that fire in the soul, the protectiveness. Yeah. She's like a little. She's protective.
Yeah, she's protective.
Yeah. And she wants people. She doesn't want people feeling bad. So she has a lot. She's an empath like you, very empathic.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. But so anyway, that's what my book. I'm hoping that I'm working on it now. There's always some taxes, all that, always some kind of thing that comes into my life that interrupts me. But I'm working on it. I've got some pages done. The story's done, but the pages, I have to have 32 pages of illustrations. So I've got
Right.
four done, but I've got the drawings done. So that's good.
Have you got any time frame of when this will be released?
Well, I'm hoping to get it done within the next 2 months.
Oh,
And then I have a person who is going to help me with pulling it together, publishing it, and maybe I could self-publish, but I'm hoping that it will be there will be an agent who will be interested in helping me put it out.
is there any last words that you'd like to say to the viewers before we leave?
Be kind to each other. Um, think of all the people in the world that don't have, and send them a prayer, send them some clothing, or any kind of amount of money you can, and know that there's so much that we can do for them, and fight for what's right, because that's what we have to do in our lives.
Oh, and thank you so much, Marta, for being on Chatbox with Sam. And
It was
I'm
my
sure.
honor. Thank you.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
an honour to have you and such a wonderful, kind soul. And I know people that watch this interview, maybe they'll be inspired by your kindness too. And in the industry and outside the industry, it makes a huge difference. Words do count, moments count, so make a difference, make it count,
Make a difference.
make a difference. So thank you, Marta. Good night.
So it was my pleasure.
Thank you.